It's Charter Local Edition. I'm Brad Pomerance. We are joined today by Mike Gardner. He is a member of the Riverside City Council. He's announced his intention to run for the Board of Supervisors in Riverside County in 2018. But I want to talk about the recent election, and let's start locally. I was fascinated to look at the Riverside County results. Prop 51, a school construction bond, got 55% in Riverside County. Prop 55, the Prop 30 extension, got 60%. Yes. The cigarette tax got 57%. There was an RUSD bond, Riverside Unified School District bond, that needed 2/3. It got 70%. And then Measure Z, a general sales tax increase, got almost 60%. Riverside County said yes to revenue enhancements.
The county did, and I think for a variety of reasons. And it's a little different for the different tax structures and tax measures. I think Riverside County has always been committed to education.
Right.
And so that
RUSD,
kind of explains RUSD and even the Riverside County support for the state school bonds.
Right. That's Prop 51.
Yes, we do have some schools in RUSD that are badly in need of upgrade.
Okay.
So the bond, I think, is well deserved. It will be well spent. It will do our children well.
But let's talk about Measure Z, a general sales tax increase, which, you know, we can talk about the fact, I find it interesting that for a general increase, you only need a 50% plus one.
Right.
If you're getting specific, the voters know what you're going to do with it, you need 2/3.
That does seem backward,
counterintuitive,
to me, but that's the way it's set up in our state.
Right.
That's not a local decision.
So you went general.
We did. We had a discussion about that, though, when we were determining whether we'd put the measure on the ballot at all. And if we were, would it be a general tax increase with just the 50% plus a vote, or a specific increase with 2/3 plus a vote? For dedicated
stream.
And there are arguments for both. To me, one of the arguments against the specific tax is, what if you have some sort of major disaster or upheaval and you didn't include that in your specificity? You couldn't use those funds to address that issue.
But
Big
is
earthquake
there
or
an oversight board that looks at how, is it half cent or quarter cent?
It's a full cent.
Full cent, what do I know? A full cent sales tax increase. Is there an oversight board to look at how that's being spent?
There is a board that is about to be established. In Riverside. We call it the Budget Engagement Commission.
I see.
And it will be an 18-member board, 2 members from each of the 7 wards, 1 business, 1 resident, and then 2 each, business and resident, at large across the city that the mayor will appoint.
Sir, a 1 cent sales tax increase, that's significant.
It is
that is significant. And for 60% of your voters to say yes, that is significant.
It is.
This is not a close race. I mean, if you'd gone 2/3, it would have lost. But you know, you did what you did, and you know the voters knew what it needed to do if they wanted to pass it. Why are 60% of the people saying yes? I mean, congratulations. I know you were a supporter, as was everyone on the council and the mayor.
I think several things played into it. One is our residents are seeing a lack of city services in things that are important to them. Our tree trimming cycle, Riverside is a city of trees. Our tree trimming cycle has slipped from 3 to 4 years to 8 to 10 years. That creates problems. Our ability to repave streets and replace damaged sidewalks has slipped. We are down about 50 police officers from our peak in roughly 10 years ago, even though we have added about 40,000 people in several square miles of territory. We had to take a rescue squad out of service in the fire department, and people were concerned about those things. We created new parks through the Renaissance, but we didn't put away money to take care of them. And so this addresses all of those sorts of things. Even though it wasn't a specific tax, we didn't say, you know, X dollars will go to this and X will go to that. I think it is generally understood that the city's intent is to reestablish its general fund reserve, which has fallen to about 13%, lower than you want to be. We'd like to be at 20 or better. And secondly, to work on city infrastructure, streets, sidewalks, trees,
But when you-
replacing vehicles that
Right.
are outdated.
Streets, roads, trees, a lot of that responsibility can fall to the state.
Right.
Or at least you can get matching funds from the state. But we know the state is struggling right now to figure out how to deal with transportation funding. The Democrats now have a 2/3 majority, and so they can pass certain measures without support from their Republican counterparts. What do you make of that? Is Riverside going to be speaking with Sacramento about the issue of roads and bridges and needing to repair roads and bridges?
Yes, but really those are state level roads and bridges. Some state money flows to the counties as
understand.
well, but not much to cities. Gas tax money flows to the city.
Right, well,
The
our
gas
gas
tax,
ta-
of
yeah.
course, is falling as gas mileage improves and non-gasoline
Right.
vehicles are becoming more popular.
And there's no inflation kicker. So we're at
Exactly.
the same level we were in 1992 or 4, I think it
Right.
was. So you've talked about how the money may be spent. What's the process to determine how the money will be spent?
We do have the Budget Engagement Commission that we're
You mentioned
creating,
that.
and they will be advisory. The staff will bring it to that board and then to the city council recommendations. Here's our projected additional revenue. And they anticipate it will be $48 to $50 million a year.
Is that a lot for Riverside?
It's a good piece. Our general fund now is about $270 million, so
That's a good
it's
amount.
a
That's a-
substantial increase.
Well, that's a 20% increase, it
Yes,
seems.
I mean, we can do some really significant things with the extra money.
I want to shift gears and talk about another element of the election, and that, of course, is the election of Donald Trump to the presidency. California was not as keen on President Trump as other states, and there was a concern by many Californians about his position on immigration policy. And what we know is he has been very firm on his desire to remove those that may be undocumented from the country. We don't know how broad that net is, but Riverside County, a very diverse community. Where does Riverside go on this question of the desire to remove the undocumented, whether they're part of a family unit or not?
I think there are two answers from the city there. One is our police chief has said specifically that the Riverside Police Department is a law enforcement agency. They are not the Immigration and Naturalization Service.
I
So they're not
hear
going to be
you.
looking for people who are undocumented.
But what if the federal administration says, local law enforcement, you are now required to ask about immigration status? Does Riverside go against the federal government and say we are not going to allow our officers to ask those questions?
The consul's not discussed that, so I can't tell you what the consul's decision would be. I think that's a bridge we cross if we come to it. I do not know how President Trump will implement the things that he has talked about.
Have you heard agitation on this issue?
There is some, clearly. Some local cities have declared themselves sanctuary cities. The University of California
As a
essentially
system,
has
right.
said as a system.
You'll come back and talk more about this?
yes.
Okay, his name is Mike Gardner. He is a councilman in the city of Riverside. My name is Brad Pomerance. We thank you for joining us on Charter Local Edition.